The medulla is the whole thing, including these things. Okay? The pyramid is just these things. Okay. This is a minor calyx. This is a what the pyramid empties into is a minor calyx. And a major calyx is when these minor calyces come together to form a bigger area. The bigger area is the major calyx. And the major calyx empties into the ureter. This funnel-shaped beginning of the ureter has a name. Well, no, the hilum is the area where all these vessels go in. Is there some other name there?
Nope.
No, okay. Then I won't bother you with it for this model. We may encounter it later. Next. Okay, this is the triple display. We're going to pay attention primarily to this part of the triplet. I will use these to illustrate some things, but for the most part, we're going to be using, for the exam purposes, using this model. 75 to 8% will come from this. Shoot. Okay, the outer cortex, you can see that it looks different from the inner medulla.
Okay. Renal pyramid.
Here are the pyramids. Typically, there are 6 to 8 pyramids in each kidney, in most humans.
Minor calyx.
Okay, so each of these pyramids empties into a minor calyx. So here's a minor calyx, here's a minor calyx, here's a minor calyx, here's a minor calyx, here's a minor calyx.
The major calyx.
And then this thing over here would be the beginnings of a major calyx. You can perhaps see that better on this general model. There are very few things that are better on this. But you can see these minor calyces here forming a bigger calycal area, the major calyx. Okay, so this in here would be the major calyx. The renal column is the tissue between pyramids. So this is a renal column right here. This is a renal column. This is a renal column. Artery?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Let me give you the lay of the blood flow, and then we'll come back and do these one at a time. This, of course, is the renal artery entering the kidney. And it breaks up to send an artery into the various segments of the kidney. So the renal artery gives rise to, branches into segmental arteries. What do you got next?
Interlobar artery. And
Interlobar artery.
Okay.
Yeah.
Each segmental artery, which enters the various segments of the kidney all along the line here, gives rise to an artery between lobes called the interlobar artery. And you see that rising up towards the cortex. So this is the interlobar artery. You can also see the interlobar artery right here, rising up towards the cortex. Okay? Interlobar artery. And incidentally, all of these arteries are accompanied by a vein by the same name. So the blood goes in one way, it comes out the same way, but in veins instead of in arteries, of course. Okay, what do you got next?
arcuate artery.
Okay. The next thing here then is an interlobar artery. Here is an interlobar artery. And it divides into two arches swinging in two directions. So this is an arcuate artery, arcuate artery, arcuate artery, arcuate artery. Interlobular. Now you have to spell interlobar and interlobula correctly, obviously. So this is an interlobar giving rise to an arcuate, and the arcuates give rise to an interlobula, which moves up the cortex. An interlobula is in the cortex, and interlobar is in the medulla. Okay? Interlobular artery. And each interlobular artery in turn gives rise to, what's next on your list?
Arterial renal papilla.
What is it?
Arterial renal papilla.
Papilla?
Afferent arterial renal papilla? Or, oh, those are two things.
Show me.
Right there.
Afferent
Unless
arterial.
Afferent arterial
Oh,
and renal
whoops.
papilla. Afferent arterial is the arterial that enters Bowman's capsule, and that comes off the interlobula. Okay, so here's the interlobula. Here's an afferent arterial entering Bowman's capsule. Going back to this one, let's review. We have renal artery, we have segmental artery, we have interlobar artery, we have arcuate artery, we have interlobular artery. Okay, oh, and same thing here, interlobar, arcuate, interlobular. Okay,
Can you do the plexus again? Is it?
The renal papilla.
the papilla,
Yeah,
renal
sorry.
papilla, is the bottom of the pyramid that drips the urine into, what do you call this thing? The minor calyx. Okay, so the bottom of each of these pyramids is a papilla, a renal papilla. Basically, what you should be imagining is the filtration into Bowman's capsule, which of course means it's going through those fenestrated epithelial cells, the basement membrane, the podocytes, the pedicel slits, and so on, enters PCT, goes down the loop of Henle, up the loop of Henle, enters the DCT, and drips into the collecting duct. All these lines of the renal pyramids represent collecting ducts. So all of these are collecting ducts. So all of the reabsorption of fluid, electrolytes, nutrients is taking place up here. What